Alright guys, welcome back to another installation video for the OM617 conversion series. Today we're going to be going over our power steering / alternator bracket for the OM617. This is an updated version of this bracket, so I had to just go back and make a new video because I was getting so many questions here. We're going to pick up the pace in this video. The last one was 22 minutes long. I'm going to try to get you out of here a lot quicker than that this time. So the first thing you need to do, get everything unboxed, make sure you have everything. You should have your bracket, you should have this tensioner mount bracket, you should have a turnbuckle, you should have an idler pulley, all your hardware, and if you ordered it, you should have this V-belt tensioner bracket. Last time I got comments that I was recording with a potato and I was talking into a caution cone. So hopefully you can hear me better, hopefully you can see things better. I invested a lot of money into a new mic, new camera. So on the bottom of the engine, left-hand side, you're going to remove the OM617 AC compressor. That is not needed. They don't usually work anyway. They're too big to fit on any of the swaps that I've done. Next, you'll come up and remove the power steering bracket assembly. You don't even have to take the power steering pump off. You can just take the whole bracket off, remove the filter head, loosen that up, and then pull the whole bracket off. In this case here, I have a vacuum delete installed. This one's actually going to be a serpentine style engine, but this video pertains to both V-belt and serpentine, so don't really get held up on the whole serpentine thing. You're also going to have to remove the engine hoist mount right here. So that's a 19mm head. Pull that out. That bolt's going to be M12 by 1.5, so you want to chase the threads with a tap, clean them out. Down here, this hole was never used for anything I'm aware of. It's M10 by 1.5, so you'll definitely want to blow that out and then chase those threads with a tap. When you get done with all that, you can chase these two, and then these two. They're all M8 by 1.25. And I just want to say, guys, I do appreciate the comments and the feedback about what you'd like to see me do to improve my videos. I just ask that you keep it respectful and you keep it polite and you keep it professional. So hopefully you can see better this time. We're going to take our bracket, and you absolutely need to make sure you torque this bolt on the back side. It's a 19mm head. The torque spec 73 foot-pounds, and you should Loctite it. Use a blue or medium strength thread locker. So I'll put this on here. We've got 4 of these bolts. They are M8. We'll start with the 2 bottom bolts. We're just going to get them started. We're not going to tighten anything down. They've got lock washers that go over them. Then we'll get our top 2 in here. I would highly recommend using blue Loctite on all these parts because they all see a ton of vibration, and that's just going to keep your threads clean, so it'll keep them from rusting, it'll keep them from getting seized in, and it'll keep them from vibrating out. I'm just lightly tightening everything for this video. I'm not torquing anything. Once that's installed, you can bring your fuel filter up here. These thread in. I have weld nuts on the bottom of this bracket, so it threads in just like stock. You'll actually use your factory hardware unless your specific kit comes with new hardware. So it bolts on like so. And you can see here we've got our oversized Donaldson fuel filter, which I sell adapters to use either this Donaldson filter with the built-in water separator or the CAT 1R0750. And as you can see, there's no modifications needed other than the thread adapter. This fits with our bracket. So this bracket here is set up for a TC power steering pump. We've got our TC power steering pump here. It slides in like so. And they sell these pumps both threaded and with through holes. So you have the option to run the bolt into the pump or run a bolt through the pump and catch it on the outside with a nut. So all we're going to do is mock it up like that, and that's good enough for this video. Next, we'll move over here for our tensioner bracket. So once you have these 2 holes cleaned out, this bracket with the form piece, it goes to the outside. That's the new hook for your engine hoist. Again, thread locker on everything. These also have lock washers. You run those in like so. Tighten those down. The next thing we're doing is sliding our alternator in here, taking our flanged head bolt, put that through. you get a flat washer and a lock nut that catches it on the backside, and a lot of times the backside of that bolt is where I like to mate the grounding harness coming off the battery for the engine ground. Next we'll get out our turnbuckle, our 2 fine thread 3/8 bolts, and the 2 nylock nuts. These don't use washers. Now this turnbuckle has a collapsed length of 4.5 inches and an extended length of 6 inches maximum. If you exceed 6 inches, the threads will fail, the turnbuckle will fail. So you'll take the shorter bolt coming from the front, it goes through this bracket here, longer bolt goes through the alternator, and then you catch them both on the back side with the nuts. Now this bracket supports both the AD230 and the AD244. This is the 244 model here. It's just larger and has a higher output. They make a 2-pin and a 4-pin connection style. I only recommend getting the 4-pin style, and they have the plugs that go in the back on Rock Auto, your auto parts stores. I have noticed that the auto parts stores have different colors for the wires, whereas the currently available units off Rock Auto uses 4 white wires, which makes it really hard to keep track of your wires when they're all the same color. This alternator comes with a 6-rib serpentine pulley, so it's ready to go with our serpentine kit. If you need to switch it to V-belt, you have to run a dual V-belt pulley, and so that part number and link is in the description below. This just bolts on. One other thing I want to say about my power steering pump brackets is it's a modular design, and all of my brackets are based off of the same concept, so they share a bunch of parts. This one is a 22R bracket. We just installed the TC over there, and a new offering I have for this bracket. If you have a 22R, you want to upgrade in the future to a trail gear pump, you want to go to hydro assist. This actually has the slots in it. This is the same base plate that I'm using for the TC pump. So I'm now offering the brackets for you to modify yours and turn your 22R pump bracket into a TC pump bracket. It's these 3 plates. You just plug them in like so. Get everything installed tightly and trued up, welded in, and now you have a TC pump bracket. A cheap, simple way to upgrade instead of having to pay $200 plus for a new bracket. So the last part on our power steering pump bracket is the installation of our idler pulley. This is the same pulley used for the V-belt setup as the serpentine. So you get a pulley, you'll get either a bolt and a washer or a flanged head bolt, and then you'll get this pilot bushing. This bushing's main job is to correctly space our pulley out and line up all of our pulleys. It does not need to be a press fit. It's a nice loose slip fit. Again, use Loctite on this. You don't want this vibrating out, and that just threads in like so. As you'll notice here on this pulley, we do have the serpentine set up, so I'll just go ahead and mention it here. On a power steering pulley, you line it up with the other pulleys. There's no dead stop for this pulley. So when you're using your pulley installation tool, you're actually eyeballing this to make sure your pulley's lined up with all your other pulleys. That's going to be a press fit, but as a safety precaution, we want to use a bolt with thread locker to make sure if this pulley would wear out on the power steering pump shaft, it still couldn't come off. So I got a flanged head bolt with some Loctite, and I tighten that in just until it's snug. You don't want to torque this, because to torque this would mean that you're pushing the pulley further onto the shaft. So you just snug this up to the pulley, let that Loctite dry, and it's done. In regards to running your belts, we have a whole separate video about measuring for your belts. So the next part to install is our V-belt tensioner bracket. This goes up here. So this has 2 M8 bolts with lock washers and an M12 bolt with a locking nut and 2 washers. So if we hold our bracket up here, large bolt mounts from the front, goes through the back, we catch the nut on the back side, and then our other 2 bolts go on the side of the block at the bottom. Next you'll need a tensioner idler pulley from a 22R setup. So this has a special bushing in the back that's threaded. and this long tensioner adjustment bolt. So this has a nut on the front side and a washer plate. On the back there's going to be a bushing. It's doing the same thing as our custom bushing that I machine. Up at the top it's just locating. It's a nice loose slip fit, and then this goes through it. So you put this through the bracket, and there's a little indexing shoulder on here that keeps it clocked so you can tighten it. So we've got our nut bottomed out, but we have it loose enough that we can slide this. Next we'll take our long bolt, go in the slot from the bottom, and thread that in. Now once you have this bolt threaded all the way in, when you tighten it, it'll pull the pulley down, which pulls your belt out, to tension your belt out. Once you get your belt tension set, the final step is to tighten the front nut down so that the pulley can't move, and then you're done with that part. So I hope you enjoy our new updated power steering bracket installation video. Hope you enjoy the new revisions on the parts. Thanks again for your comments and your criticism. Hopefully I can keep improving my videos for all my videos yet to come. If you like and subscribe, it helps me to keep growing and keep improving my video quality with new equipment. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in our next one.